to introduce our panel to talk about this whole area of skills and manpower. Beside me here is Adrian Cummins, CEO of the Restaurants Association of Ireland. Adrian is currently lobbying for the reintroduction of CERT and sits on the National Hospitality Skills Forum and the steering group for the development of a national Cummins chef apprenticeship programme. Sitting beside him is Bernadette Enright, Centre Manager of Hospitality Education and Training Centre in Limerick. She set up the first hospitality skills-based training centre in Limerick, training in culinary bar and restaurant under the Education Training Board structure. The centre trains 195 graduates annually and has won the prestigious award, the European Centre of Excellence. Beside me here is Coach Noone, Vice President for International Engagement and Head of Galway International Hotel School at GMIT. She's got international experience and she was the Dean of the first international hotel management school in China, Le Roche Xinjiang International in China. Very impressed. She represents the Technical Higher Education Association of the National Hospitality Skills Oversight Group. And sitting beside her, Michael Vaughan, fourth generation hotelier from the Hinchin County Clare, who runs with his wife Maria the Vaughan Lodge Hotel, a past president of the Irish Hotels Federation, chair of the Hospitality Skills Oversight Group and the Education and Training Committee of the IHF, and has been in the vanguard of the development of new apprenticeships for hospitality. And in 2013, he was instrumental in the re-establishing of the Roxburgh Training Centre in Limerick. Adrian, I turn to you first. I remember doing a column on this whole business of skills shortage, particularly in the restaurant area. And one of the things that Ross Lewis of Chapter 1 was complaining about was the increasing academicization of training for the hospitality sector, not enough people doing hands-on training in kitchens, and the lack of an overall oversight body. So, your comment.
Ross is correct. We spoke about this 5 years ago. There was a skills shortage in 2012. It has progressively got worse, and it will get an awful lot worse for businesses. Hence, members of ours, we have 2,500 business owners that are members of the association. And some of those businesses are not opening on a Tuesday or Wednesday because they don't have cover to open a business on a Tuesday or Wednesday. In the previous panels was here about trying to get having a business to provide food for tourists who go into the region. But the reason is that on Monday or Tuesday, more than likely, that business won't be open because they won't be able to cook for tourists coming into their area. So we're 5 years on, so what have we? We have a new apprenticeship programme. That's good to see. It's taken a long time to get up and running. What we've called for is that we have one central body that looks after hospitality, policy training and development for Ireland. Teagasc is the policy and development training body for farmers, and there's 87,000 of them. Could you imagine if Teagasc was got rid of in the morning? There's 6,000 farmers on Kildare Street having a protest. So that was gotten rid of in 2003, and we have seen a decline. It seems to me that work permits is off the table. That's the most obvious thing to solve the problem on a short-term basis, because it takes 4 years to train a chef, and we're starting from behind the curve. We need to get ahead of the curve. And talking to politicians at the moment, they are hearing it on the ground that there is a skills shortage. They're hearing it all over the country. A simple initiative would be, on a short-term basis, change the work permits. There was 15,000 work permits in 1999-2000. There was 2,000 work permits 2 years ago. The vast majority of work permits at the moment is in the tech industry. We got 57 for the hospitality industry. So let's solve the problem initially. Let's wake up and listen to what people are saying.
But that doesn't solve the major problem, which is training at home and the structure for it.
Correct. And we need one body. The previous minister, the current Junior Minister for Tourism was here. The previous Junior Minister for Tourism was at a meeting of the Expert Skills Group for Hospitality. I think it started to be a talking shop. He was there, he hit the roof because he asked one question: who's in charge? And nobody was there to step up to the plate and say, we're in charge of this.
Okay, Coach, can I throw this one to you? That call, bring back CERT. The increasing feeling that there's been, as I say, a academicisation, I always have to struggle with that word, increasing chalk and talk type courses run by educational bodies who aren't really in connection properly with industry, not enough, particularly in the area of culinary skills, not enough down to basics, on the job training.
Okay. I don't agree with Ross Lewis, and nobody will be really surprised when I say I don't agree with some of Adrian's comments around this. When Ross Lewis made his comment, one of my first questions to him, and he's a really fantastic celebrated chef who has done a huge amount to help this sector. And one of my first questions was, when did you last go and visit an Institute of Technology? Because there is one across the road from his restaurant in Dublin. And here's the point, it doesn't take 4 years to train a chef. There are a variety of programs out there. The most common one is the Higher Certificate in Culinary Arts, which is a 2-year program. We are training more culinary students today than CERT ever did. We have more students in those culinary programs.
So why are these people having trouble then getting chefs?
Because there's a number of factors we have to talk about. Number one, our industry has changed. 20 years ago, when CERT was in place, in fact CERT was here until 2003, we had an industry where students were placed in hotels and restaurants. That was predominantly what the tourism industry looked like. Our industry has grown significantly. We have seen the growth in cafes, in the bistro-style restaurant, we've seen the delis, in the garages, in the forecourts, we've seen contract catering evolve enormously. So suddenly there is a huge demand for personnel in this industry. Suddenly there's more types of jobs than ever before. We see culinary graduates now going to work in food product development, in food research. That is their choice, that is their wish. But there's something else we have to talk about today. And by the way, Paul mentioned it and he's right. This is a collective issue, so this is a collective solution. And together, I'm saying it for quite some time, we need to find a solution together, and not one solution will fit all. But can I just say one thing? There is not with those higher certificate programs an overemphasis on academic learning.
Yeah, but let me take one thing.
Yeah.
Take one thing. I mean, you've got wonderful cookery schools and culinary institutions in France. In America, you've got the Institute of Culinary Arts. But here, a chef, say like Ross Lewis, could probably not go in to an Institute of Technology and teach on a course because he doesn't have an honors degree or he doesn't have a master's. He's a wonderful Michelin-starred chef, but the model really doesn't include guys like him. Now, if guys like him and Derry Clark and Paul Guilbeault aren't involved in helping to set the standards within the culinary arts in this country, when we're trying to establish ourselves as a fine food nation, what on earth is going on?
But they are involved. I'm sorry, but they are involved. And obviously, I'm only going to speak on behalf of GMIT, but I have colleagues here today, I know from Cork and indeed from Tralee, and they will tell you as well, every time we develop a programme in our school, we do it in partnership with industry. All of my colleagues come from industry. Yes, they have their qualifications, but they've all worked in industry. My colleagues go out on the summer holiday and they update their skills and knowledge. We are constantly working with industry. We have one of the biggest work placement industry offices in the country in our school.
So why are we screening out for chefs?
Because there is an issue we haven't yet mentioned, and we're going to have to address it because it's not just specific to chefs. We have to look at the working conditions. We have to look at how people are engaging in our industry. We are not getting the type of employee, we're not getting the type of student we had 20 years ago. We know this generation will not behave as perhaps other people have behaved. There's people here, myself included, Michael included, we may have all worked 70, 80 hours a week, and we did it, and that's what was expected of us. This generation will not do it, and we can't judge them negatively for that. What we have to do is we have to look at our own organisation culture. And I'm sorry, Olivia, but there's a lot of bodies already in Ireland starting to do this. And we have to look at improving organisational culture to keep people in our industry, because this is a fabulous industry.
Bernadette, can I turn to you? Because you were talking to me last night, and what I thought was terrific about what you explained to me was the extent to which you're trying to do a hands-on job, going to industry, in a particular area even, asking, okay, what sort of workers are you going to need in the next 3 months, 6 months, and trying to work as an industry-oriented educational body rather than sticking to school terms, school arrangements, you know, trying to be absolutely hands-on. But I mean, would you accept that there's been an increasing, I suppose, getting away from basic skills in the area of training for hospitality, and that's a road we have to roll back on?
Yeah, I suppose like I'm at a different level than Cáit would be, you know, because at the higher level of education, I suppose. In the hospitality centre in Enright, it's open 3 years now. We focused on, I suppose, the qualifications, but the craft skill itself. And I suppose an example of that here is, I think Connor's somewhere there on the floor, or somewhere around, is there's a new hotel opening in Limerick, in Castle West in a couple of weeks from now. So what we did was we worked in conjunction with the hotel to recruit. They had specific skills that they required, so we model with the industry on what those skills are. So whether it's barista, restaurant, bar, whatever it is, your porterage, we design those programs, try and credit them or match them to a system there that's already existing, and it's on the job training out in the industry and, you know, also in the training centre. So I suppose the training centre, the way it operates is that we would have production kitchens, we have a restaurant, so it's very, very skills orientated. The production that's done every day, that food is produced into the restaurants. The students then actually serve in the restaurant. So it's all craft, it's all skill, but I would say it's probably 80% and 20% of it then is the theory element of it.
And I thought what was interesting in what you said, and Paul would have mentioned it as well there, is that you went, I think, in Newcastle West, and you found a number of, say, women in their 50s.
That's right, yeah.
Who were interested in retraining and coming back in.
Yeah.
And you got them to come back and to retrain. And the point you were making was that you got the benefit not only of their retraining, but of all their life experience and their sense of responsibility for their job.
Absolutely. Like, we worked in conjunction with the Department of Social Welfare. It was interesting that on that day, I think we had 53 people who came for interview. All of those people were from the Live Register. Out of that, we were able to take 16 people, skill them, but there was about 10 people that we could directly move towards the hotel because they had very good skills in other areas that we weren't recruiting for. But again, as I say, what was interesting in that particular day was that I would say 20% of the candidate was over 55. But these were people who had worked in factories that had been closed in the Newcastle West area, retail, these were shops that had been closed down, but they all had good work ethic. These were people that, could be on time, was going to be there on a Monday, were driven. So you had foundations straight away, as regards trying to build on the skill.
Michael, you managed to get Roxburgh Centre reopened, and talk to us about trying to return training to that basic skills on the job, in the kitchen type of training.
Well, I suppose going back to the initial thing, and I have a certain amount of sympathy for Adrian's position on the introduction of CERT. I don't particularly think we need CERT. I think we need our state body, our state tourism development body, stepping up to the plate and providing a leadership role in coordinating this. And that's a different thing to bringing back CERT. But if we look at what happened in Roxburgh, I approached Sean Burke, he was the CEO of the Education and Training Board there, and said, look, Sean, we've an old centre there, it's lying flat out, €1 million invested by the state in that, gone to waste. The equipment was going to be dissipated, and I said, look, Sean, there's an opportunity here. You're in an area which is heavily unemployed. We have skill sets that we could train in. It's a very, very transferable skill, the hospitality skill, and that's one of the reasons Paul says the churn is there. But we're providing skill sets into other industries, soft skills, dealing with people, all these things, confidence building in young people. We do that really well. And I was suggesting to them that they might get into that centre and take it over. We negotiated with Vaughan. Vaughan gave all the equipment free of charge to the ETB there. They had to pay a lease, of course, on the building. And they were lucky the first day that they brought Bernadette in there, because Bernadette has brought something to the ETB that they just don't have. She has commercial acumen. She has the ability to liaise with the industry. And if I see the success of it in any way, it's this. We're talking, and Adrian's talking about building a state body to do the work. I'm talking about a local body, talking to local business, seeing what their needs are, and building from the ground up. And one of the big successes of this particular approach is, for the first time ever, the DSP allowed us, as industry, to go and interview people on the live register. Before, they just churned these people into that course, and they said, you're doing that course for the next 5 weeks. This way we said, look, no, could we turn it on its head here? Could we interview people that we think might do well in our business? And then could we allow the educators to train them? And they allowed us to do that. The same thing is happening in Westport at the moment, and it's going really, really well. These are the traineeships. They're the building blocks of what we need. If we don't do this, we won't have people for Cáit. We won't be developing people to our industry. But the great thing about what's happened in Roxborough, and it's continuing to happen, is if you look at the apprenticeships in Roxborough, you filled them straight away, Bernadette, did you? I mean, you got 14, 16 people straight away, because she had already trained people at a basic level. In other places, we're trying to bring apprenticeships in where there's no history of working on the ground and bringing people through a new system. And to me, this is how you start it.
It's how you start it, but if you don't have an overarching body in charge who can make sure that throughout the country there is that sort of activity, how can you be sure? Is it going to be patchy?
It is going to be patchy, and this is the difficulty we have, that we're spending vast amount of money. We have, if you were to name them out, there's a lot of them in it. There's skills nets, there's the ETBs, there's the IoTs, there's the community education programs, there's a plethora. We're spending millions upon millions. And we are building kitchens, just for one area. Kitchens in every ETB nearly wants to build a kitchen. We don't need this, but we do need a state body that says, hold on a minute, we've done our manpower survey, we know where this needs to be built, it doesn't need to be built there. So
which state body might appoint?
It's Vaughan Ireland. It is Vaughan Ireland. It's nobody but Vaughan Ireland can do this, because they know the basic stats on every business. They have their client base and tourism, cross-tourism. But they don't. We lost that corporate memory when we lost CERT. There's no doubt about that. We lost that. But it doesn't mean we can't bring it back in again. The Hospitality Skills Oversight Group, it is a talking shop to a certain extent, but we have around that table willing people to do collaboratively what needs to be done. What we don't have is the go-to body for those people to say, look, this is what we want you to do for us. Will you coordinate this? That's not happening, and that's the piece.
Adrian, Fáilte Ireland takes over.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Mike and myself are on it.
Yeah.
I just think that it's in the Tourist Traffic Act. They have a role and responsibility for it. It's in law. We need to step up to the plate. They closed down training centres. They got rid of equipment. I think that was a major flaw in 2008, 2009. And I think we are suffering because of it. But let's not miss one of the points here, work permits. You can solve this, like when you look at it, you look at Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, the amount of work permits that they get, and there are only 3 companies, and for an entire sector you get 56. And what does that say?
But one point on that, Adrian, and I would state, we as an industry haven't created the quality environment, the guarantee for the state that we won't abuse that permit system. And until we do that, and they're saying to us, look, permits, yes, but will you show us that you're not going to bring in people and they're going to end up not doing what you said they're going to do?
Exactly, and Cáit, can I bring that one back to you? That the industry itself has to take the blame for not presenting work in this area as an interesting and progressive career path.
You know, we all have a responsibility to do it. I'm not blaming industry because I'm equally a member of this industry, so we're all collectively involved here together. But the reality is here that if we could demonstrate what an amazing industry it is to work in. And Adrian made a really good point earlier, and I cannot re-emphasise this enough. We won't have to worry about chefs in 3 years' time, folks, because we will not have staff for the industry. CAO applications are down every year. Now, people say to me this happens when the economy comes good again and people start choosing to work in different industries. But when I go out to schools and I talk to young people, they don't have a good perception of our industry. All they talk about is the negative stories. I was talking to a really well-known chef recently whose son is showing very good promise in the kitchen, and he said to me, over my dead body. And I said, what do you mean? This is an amazing industry. This is giving you a career and a home, etc., etc. So collectively, we need to be much, much more clever about how we promote our industry. For example, I know the IHF do school visits, and we have lots of organisations. That's fantastic. But actually, I wonder how informed everybody is of the type of education opportunities that are available. For example, we have further education courses. We have courses in the IoTs, which are higher education. We have full-time, we have part-time awards, we have blended learning. We're looking at developing apprenticeships now at level 7, 8 and 9, which is the degree level. But we're looking at developing, we have one proposal gone in from GMIT to develop an apprenticeship for those working in industry. A blended award online. But we have to look at how we're going to promote this industry, and we have to do it with one voice. This is a great industry, and parents continuously say to me, "Oh, it's really tough, it's hard work."
We were saying when we were chatting last night, the next scandal about bullying in the workplace is not going to be in the area of the arts. It's going to be in the area of kitchens. It's almost become an accepted thing.
But there is a thing that we could do, and my vision for how this could be turned on its head is hospitals went out and to universities, and then they became teaching hospitals. The teaching restaurant, the teaching hotel, and get your stripes and go to the States and say, look, this is my model, this is what I'm doing, will you support me? I think that's the model for the future, where we say, look, I bring people in, I give them a future, I train them, I develop them.
I mean, Bernadette, when you look at the success of various cookery programs and cookery competitions, MasterChef, whatever, on television, and I know my daughter watches it all the time, one would have thought that in itself would set particularly the culinary arts up as a sexy, glamorous place to work. So what are we doing wrong in the industry here that it doesn't appear that way to youngsters?
Well, it's funny that you say that because this year, and I think I spoke to you about it last night, we were talking about when we interview candidates that's coming into us to go on these programs, and that's exactly the perception, that it's sexy and it's glamorous, and it, realistically, it is not. It's sweaty, right? It's hot, right? It's pressure.
But it's creative.
That's the other side.
Yeah.
Can I just go back and it'll link up to I was asked to do a talk recently to career guidance teachers, and I went in and I was promoting the business. Again, I'm an industry person. To encourage career guidance teachers to, go to programs, how good they are and all that. And they turned back and said to me, Bernadette, it's not us you have to convince, it's their parents you have to convince, because I might identify that Anne or Johnny or Mary would be very good as a chef or very good in whatever, a traineeship, but Mammy will come in and say, no, my son and my daughter is not going into that area. So it actually strips back. There's a lot of work to be done, I think, with parents, and that's something I'm thinking of doing, is doing parents' nights. At the for parents, say, on a transitional year. How are we going to encourage them in? I just don't know, because there are a huge amount of businesses out there and they're doing terrific jobs. But I think what we have to look at is there are so many more choices for young people now. I mean, just look at any syllabuses in, what the range of courses that's available to young people. And I think the other thing is that with a lot of these companies, and you're talking about Google, Facebook, we were talking about Lidl and Aldi last night, it's the little perks that are going with these jobs now are attracting people. So it's, precious, social
structure.
All these little things, healthcare.
Yes.
See, these are the things now that people are looking at, and they have those choices. And these companies are able to bring in our people that we could take in as well and train them and do the exact same thing, but they're giving them better packages.
Okay. Just as we're finishing up, is there anybody who wants to put a question before I finish the panel? I see a hand up down there. Could we get a microphone to her? If you keep your hand up there, we get to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Mary Rose, staff at the IT Tralee. First of all, thanks very much for the panels. I think first of all I just want to say something that everybody here needs to recognise, and that's the work Michael Vaughan has put in the last number of years getting the culinary apprenticeships over the line, and I think he deserves a huge credit here today. Thank you. Secondly, I suppose I want to say, if you don't know what the problem is, then you're never going to find the solution. And we've got to, I think when Paula talked earlier today, there are fantastic programs going out there. I'm a little bit bemused at what we're saying here today, because I know from the Institute of Technology, we're already delivering out in industry, we're already delivering online, we're already delivering blended learning. So, you know, there's a lot being done. The issue is people don't want to enter the industry, and that's where the focus has to be. So I think and that has to be, again, going back to the point Michael made, Fáilte Ireland have a huge responsibility here to pull everybody together, to have a national strategy around how we're going to bring people into the industry.
Okay, well, I see sitting in the front row our Minister for Tourism, Brendan Griffin, of course, who's from this area. Can we get a microphone up to the Minister? Just, I'm going to catch you while you're there. To simply pick up on what Adrian and Michael have been saying, and other people as well, that there has to be somebody who takes the overarching responsibility for training in this area and for developing career prospects in this area. Doesn't have to be Fáilte Ireland, and doesn't that require a government policy change?
Yeah, that's what my instinct is telling me, and that's what the consultations I've had in the few months that I've been in the job with the various players is telling me. This sounds like a very, very typical politician's answer now, but you know, everyone who was speaking here in the panel and Mary Rose's contribution, you know, everyone's right. You know, there is actually an awful lot of sense has been spoken here this morning. It's a case of coordination. I think that's the key thing. You've an awful lot of work going on already. There's a huge amount of work going on around the place, but unless you have that coordination there and that leadership, and that's something that I'm actively looking at, you know, and I'm aware of the urgency as well here within the department. And you know, I mean, Mike and I absolutely concur with what Mary Rose said just in relation to the work that he has done over the last number of years with his group and bringing forward, you know, the new developments. A huge amount of work has gone on, and you know, there's a huge amount of work going on at various levels. The third level institutions, the ETBs, you know, I was in Dingle recently opening a new education centre in Dingle, and they're working very closely with the local Cummins school there to bring people into the industry. But there is an issue then in terms of the career itself. I come from a family where my father was a hotel porter, later a concierge for 36 years now at Cáit. He spent 2 summers in the Hotel Europe, and he was a driver and Ryan's daughter for a summer as well. I spent 7 years myself as a porter. I ran my own pub for 3 years. I'm aware that it's a fantastic opportunity for people, particularly in peripheral parts of the country, to be able to stay at home, have employment at home. It helped me.
So what are you going to do, Brendan, coming out from this engagement here this morning with your minister, yes, to see that there is some sort of overarching body, and to decide perhaps if it's Fáilte Ireland, that Fáilte Ireland have to be approached to take it on?
What I was saying just in terms of the career aspect and the outlook by people, there needs to be an effort on all sides, promoting the opportunities that are there, but also conditions, ensuring that people, you know, actually want to get into the industry, and when they're in it, they want to stay in it. But
so you will be thinking of approaching the minister about Fáilte Ireland taking on that overall
I'm actively
responsibility.
engaging within my department to try to get the best way forward here, and I'm consulting with all of the players to get the best possible outcome. But I think
so is that a yes about Fáilte Ireland?
We don't need to reinvent the wheel. But we do need to move it along every now and again, and you know.
Is that
so
a yes or a no, Brendan?
As I said, typical politician's answer, we never give a yes or no. But no, it's something I'm actively working on at present.
But you do accept there needs to be one body put in charge.
I think that the coordination is crucial, and I think there's an awful lot of good work going on, but we're not getting the benefits for all that work that's going on.
So the coordination should be put into the hands of one body?
I want to see the best possible outcome in terms of coordination.
So the coordination needs to be put in the hands of one body.
What time is lunchtime? I'm trying to get the best possible outcome, but my instinct is telling me that would be the best way forward, but there's no decision made.
Okay, so you
That's
would
as
be
good as you're going to get. No,
I think personally, so I'll take that as a yes. Okay, I want to thank our panel for a terrific discussion. Oh, there's somebody else who wants to come in. I beg your pardon, Noone. I didn't see you there.
Thanks very much, Alan Marwell, Tourism Industry Federation. It's just it's a great conversation, and it's obviously such a key point. And we all kind of forget that it's Ireland's largest indigenous industry. You know, I think Paul put up a figure of 150,000 there within accommodation and food. But Fáilte Ireland have a formula of about 1.5, multiplying that by about 1.5 to account for aviation and all the other tourism and job. But just on the point of the one accountable agency, just get my phone because I'm going to read out something. It's point actually Adrian made that it's within the Tourism Act. So Fáilte Ireland's memo and articles, the constitution of Fáilte includes the general function of the authority shall be encourage, promote and support the recruitment, training and education and development of persons for the purposes of employment and protection of the tourism industry in the state. So it's there in writing in black and white. So I think it's a bit like what Michael said, it's a matter of if you like, taking responsibility for that and taking onus for that and delivering on it.
Is Paul Kelly here or has he gone? He's strategically withdrawn, I think. Okay, there's somebody else who just wants to come in and then we'll move on.
Thank you very much. I'm Edmund Connolly. I'm the manager of the Regional Skills Forum in the South East. And I'm with my colleague Siobhan Bradley and Natasha Kinsler, who are also a Regional Skills Forum manager in South West and Dublin. And our role is to provide a coordinating role at regional level for different industry sectors in terms of working with the education and training providers, and we're starting to see a lot of progress there. However, I'd like to say that I agree 100% with Bernadette. There's a big challenge for this sector and other sectors that we're looking at in terms of making it attractive for people to come into the sector. And to set the context, there was in mid-October, Minister Breen signed an industrial order for the construction sector where the rate for a general operative with 1 year's experience will be €17 an hour. So that's what you're up against, and you need to compete on other things such as the fact that you're offering flexible, local and other benefits. It's not all about competing with money, but I think you can compete very well with other aspects, and there's a big job of work at that. I agree with other speakers to make the attractiveness of the sector appealing to young people and their families.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you very much to our panel.